The signature moves. A signature moves. Benevolent control has a few recognizable tools. A protective framing. I'm worried about you. I just want what's best for you. I don't want you to ruin your life. Sometimes that is real. The tell is what follows. If I'm worried becomes a reason you must obey. Worry has been weaponized. The expertise claims. I know you better than you know yourself. I've been through this. I've done the research. I'm the logical one here. Authority is invoked. The relationship becomes a classroom. You become the student, and the student role is very easy to manage. See conditional calm. They remain calm only if you remain compliant. If you push back, the calm becomes condescension, then disappointment, then moral judgment. Calm becomes a reward for obedience. Deem managed choices. They don't forbid you, they guide you into the right options. Well, you can do that, but they present your autonomy as permissible, but foolish, dangerous, immature, irresponsible. So you choose their choice. He's soft pathologizing. You're spiraling. You're being paranoid. You're too sensitive. This is tempo manipulation with a clinical vocabulary. It relocates the dispute from what happened to what's wrong with you. Isolation by concern. I don't like those friends. They're a bad influence. You're listening to the wrong people. Again, sometimes true. But the tell is whether you are allowed to decide or whether their concern becomes policy. Benevolent control often narrows your inputs. It wants your world smaller so your dependence becomes policy. Benevolent control often narrows your inputs. It wants your world smaller so your dependence becomes policy. Benevolent control often narrows your inputs. It wants your world smaller so your dependence becomes larger. Benevolent memory editing. That's not what happened. You're remembering it wrong. I never said that. And when you insist, they smile and say, okay. But the okay means I'll deal with your version later. The aim is not truth. The aim is narrative custody. Benevolent control versus real care. We need the distinction, because otherwise you become suspicious of kindness, and that's another kind of prison. Real care respects agency. Real care can tolerate, you know. Real care says, I'm concerned, and then asks, what do you think? Real care offers, it doesn't impose. Real care makes room for your pace. It does not manipulate tempo to force compliance. Real care is interested in repair. It does not punish you for naming discomfort. In short, real care is compatible with your dignity. Benevolent control is not. Benevolent control requires you to become smaller in order to be safe. And a safety that requires you to shrink is not safety. It is captivity with good lighting. Emotional texture. The sweet fog. One reason benevolent control is hard to spot is that it feels like sweetness. It feels like someone is paying attention. It feels like someone is invested. It feels like someone has opinions about your life because you matter. And if you've been lonely or uncertain or exhausted, that attention can feel like a rescue. The fog rolls in gently. You start checking in before you act. You start pre-editing your words. You start anticipating their reactions. You start timing your truth. You start living as if their approval is the weather. That's not love, that's management. But it can feel like love because management provides structure, and structure can feel like relief when your life is chaotic. Why benevolent control often appears in moments of transition, illness, grief, financial stress, moving, starting over, addiction, recovery, heartbreak. When a person is vulnerable, the offer of guidance is potent. The test is not whether guidance is offered. The test is whether guidance becomes a gate you must pass through to keep the relationship. clean field test. When you say, calmly, I appreciate your concern, but I'm going to decide what happens. A healthy person might disagree, they might warn, they might feel anxious, but they will ultimately respect your right to choose. A benevolent controller will not. They will escalate subtly, they will withdraw affection, they will become hurt that you don't trust them. They will intensify the narrative that you are unstable. They will recruit others. I'm just worried about William. They will frame your autonomy as betrayal. This is the moment the halo slips, because the benevolence was conditional. It was benevolence in exchange for control. The witch as a mode, not a woman. Benevolent control is a witch mode. It rides caretaking language, it rides morality, it rides common sense. It rides the fear that without a manager, you will become unmanageable. And it loves to position itself as the adult in the room. If you accept that position, you become the child. Not because you were childed, but because the relationship has been structured as a hierarchy of sanity. That is why these relationships feel infantilizing, even when no one is yelling. The structure itself is paternalism, and paternalism is just control that believes it deserves to be controlled.